Hey guys, and welcome to Planetary Reviews. This is my very first review, and I'm really honored to have it be Star Wars Rogue One. I was really looking forward to this movie. After the release of Force Awakens, I was blown away. I'm very happy that we have good Star Wars movies finally coming out. After the prequels, we all know that, well, there wasn't really the best representation of Star Wars ever. But now we have Rogue One, their first anthology story that does not have really much to do with the main characters that we know and love from The Force Awakens and the original trilogy. So, this movie takes place before Episode 4. Not too long before Episode 4, but it's technically a prequel. And don't worry guys, we got a good prequel. And one of the first things you'll notice is that this movie has a completely different tone than any of the Star Wars movies we had ever seen before. Every other Star Wars movie kind of had this fantasy thing going on where it was like, there's guys with mystical powers, there's awesome sword battles, and everything. This one had a more grounded feel to it. It felt like you were actually in a war. It felt like there were a lot more stakes. There wasn't just someone out there with a lightsaber that was going to save you. And this movie did a great job of portraying that. And what really helped that was the cinematography in this movie. The cinematography was fantastic. There were some shots that I could not believe. You had some amazing views of every city they went to in this movie. You had a lot of great space battles, and they portrayed it like you were really in the seat of an X-Wing and fighting up there, fighting in space and everything. So, let's talk about the story. The story is simple. I'm not going to do any spoilers. The story is a group of rogues go out, and for the rebellion, they have to try and capture the Death Star plan to try and figure out a way to destroy this massive weapon that the Empire has in store for them. And along the way, you meet some really cool characters that I wish got more development, and that is one of the weaknesses I had with this movie, that a lot of the characters, other than the main one, Jyn Erso, and that was really it. She was really the one that got the most focus. Granted, that's understandable because she is the main character. But I feel like if we would have just gotten a little hint of the backstory of like every character in the squad, we would have felt more connected to them. Not that they weren't good. Like Donnie Yen's character stood out because I don't truly know if he was force sensitive, but he was definitely unique in the sense that even though he was blind, he was still able to kick so much ass in this movie. And that was awesome. Every time he was on screen, fighting, cracking a joke, it felt natural. And I really enjoyed his character. It was very cool just to see like more martial arts type of stuff. We didn't really see that in the original trilogy. And this one, he really looked badass. It was a really great performance by Donnie Yen. But then again, I wish they would have developed him just a little bit more. I would have really loved to know like where he came from. Maybe just a little bit of a flashback. Not like a half an hour devoted to this character. Just a little bit. Just give me a little hint. And another thing I gotta say is that Jyn Erso was not the type of character that needed to be saved the whole time. She wasn't like a damsel in distress, which was fantastic. I was scared that this woman was gonna be more of like, come save me, or they were gonna romanticize her. And that's something that I do not enjoy when a woman in a movie is just there for romance or to be saved. I like to see a strong female character, which is what Jyn Erso really was. She was getting out of a bunch of really tough situations with just thinking her way through it, or just shooting a stormtrooper in the face, which, you know what, looked badass either way. And another thing I got a small gripe with this movie is that even though Vader was in this movie, he was only in it for 2 scenes. I'm not going to ruin what happened to them, I'm not going to say anything, but when you have someone like Darth Vader in your movie, I feel like he should have played a bigger role. Why not give Darth Vader, the most badass villain we've ever seen in movie history, why not give him a bigger role? I'm sure they would have had that during all this commotion that was going on. I'm sure he would have sat there and been like, I'm going to go fix this. Like, the Emperor is probably going to be really pissed at me for letting this happen, so I'm just going to go down there and wipe the floor with these rebels. The fact that he was not in it more than that was a little disappointing. I was a little saddened by that because I really wanted to see him go crazy in this film. But, nevertheless, the last scene with him in it, ooh, trust me guys, you guys are going to really enjoy the last scene in this movie. it made it worth the price of admission, and I adored it. It was the most badass thing I've ever seen Darth Vader do, ever, ever, and it was amazing to watch. Another thing I want to say is that the beginning of the movie was a little jarring, and it could be a little jarring for some people because they might not know where they are sometimes, because the beginning of the movie really just jumps around. You're on one planet, then you're on another planet, then you're learning about this character, then you're on this planet. Then it's a little all over the place. So for some people who are not used to Star Wars movies, who are not used to like moving so fast paced in the movie, you might get a little lost, and you might get a little bored in the beginning because there's not really much going on in the very beginning. It's a little slow. It's teaching you about Jyn Erso and everything, and giving her story, and it got a little pacing problems in this movie, just a little, and that kind of turned me off for a bit. The first half an hour of this movie, half an hour, 40 minutes, I don't remember. I would say half an hour. I was a little just a little bored for a little bit. I was like, all right, I'm glad I'm learning about this character, but let's get a move on here. But man, once that second act hits and you have all the action going on, and you have the blasters shooting off, you have the X-Wings flying in, you have crazy ground battles, and that's another thing. The ground battles in this movie felt so real. Like, and that's weird coming from a Star Wars movie because it's Star Wars, it's a fantasy universe, but it felt so real. Like when people were getting shot with blasters, you felt it. They really made you feel like there was impact. They really made you feel like these battles had a huge stake involved. And then when we got to the big finale, it's so amazing. It was a fantastic experience. But what really draws the movie down, like I said, was the pacing in the beginning. We didn't really have a lot of character development, which would have been great. We did have a few standouts. We had Donnie Yen's character was really awesome. Had a lot of badass scenes. You will love him. Then we had the new droid, K2SO. Yeah, K2SO. Funny. A lot of great scenes. Great one-liners. You'll like him a lot. He was a great addition to the universe. And I thought he was one of my... Other than Jyn Erso, he was my favorite character in the movie. I really enjoyed him a lot. The fact that he just knew what to say just to make everyone laugh, and it was good. He even had a lot of good action scenes that he was involved in. It was really awesome. And then I just have to say, if you know the Star Wars lore and you know like what happens to the characters, you might not want to be you won't feel as connected to this movie, because if you know the lore and you read a lot of books, you kind of know what's going to happen. So you might not feel a connection with everyone right away if you know the lore a lot. But nevertheless, this movie was still a very fun ride. Had a lot of crazy action, had a lot of great characters that I wish got a little bit more development, but was still very cool. The action was great. The CGI was amazing. Darth Vader scenes, while there was only 2, they were still awesome. Had a great time seeing him again. Hearing James Earl Jones play him was just so nostalgic, hearing his voice again. And overall, this movie, Star Wars, Rogue One, or Rogue One, a Star Wars story, gets a solid B+ from me. Thank you guys so much for watching. It was an honor to have this be my first review on my channel. So I do not know for sure what my next reviews are going to be. I do have a job and I do have college and stuff, so I'm going to try and get as many reviews out as I can. I also am going to start reviewing video games and stuff. So hopefully I could go see Assassin's Creed and we can see if that movie is going to be any good. Hopefully. But nevertheless, thank you so much for watching, guys. Click that like and subscribe button and tell me what you guys thought about Rogue One. I'm really curious. I want to know what you guys thought. So have a great day, guys. Thank you so much for watching.